The official convention of the National Association of Theater Owners, known as CinemaCon, has just taken place with major motion picture studios from around the world showing off their upcoming film slate, and at least 2 movies set for release for the summer of 2025 has everyone talking. Let's talk about recently revealed footage for Universal's How to Train Your Dragon live-action remake and DC's 2025 Superman, along with the future of theatrical discussed at CinemaCon itself here on That Park Place. Variety, How to Train Your Dragon dazzles CinemaCon as first reactions praise visually stunning and fantastic live-action remake, a gorgeous reimagining. Yes, we're going to be talking about CinemaCon a little bit right here, and it is very encouraging to see that the films that were featured, well, they're getting pretty good responses. Universal and DreamWorks Pictures live-action How to Train Your Dragon remake has been unveiled to members of the press and theater owners at CinemaCon, and the first reactions are calling it, quote, one of the best live-action remakes thus far. How to Train Your Dragon is spectacular. Journalist Scott Menzel wrote on X, a visually stunning and emotionally engaging retelling of the animated classic. Director Dean DeBlois recreates the magic of the original with lots of humor, action, fun, heart, etc. right there. This looks pretty encouraging, culture. So encouraging, by the way, that I guess Universal has announced How to Train Your Dragon 2 releases in theaters June 11, 2027. Looking forward to this.
Are they going to ungender swap? What's her name?
Astrid?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm
sorry, John, not gender. I'm sorry, race swap. Sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, are they gonna undo that?
I don't think they're gonna undo that.
I think that okay. Then I think the first most terrifying word in that sentence that was heaping praise upon this thing that is not How to Train Your Dragon was the word reimagining, which is means it's going to be full of garbage. So they may have showed some visually, spectacular footage and such. Yay, team and all that. But so that Snow White was a beautiful reimagining. No, pound sand. Okay. I'm not going to be tricked into going to see bologna sausage like this. Look, the original's fine. Guess what? The park goes with the originals. Even Comcast Universal is going to be hard pressed to defend this because they changed it from what it was. And to me, I'm going to nonstop throw shade at any of this additional neo-Marxism. And this film is just another element of that. Sorry. I'm glad that people thought it was gorgeous. But the second word in that little quote there is reimagining.
Jonas is not going to like your opinion on this culture. He's looking forward to this. I know. I look at the visuals and I think it's pretty good. It's interesting because it's one of those things where it's like, if you're following it so closely, why does it need to exist? But as part of the studio, it's more of like what's the term? Brand deposit, right? Man, brand deposits are ways of keeping IPs and franchises around, especially in the lead up to Epic Universe featuring Isla Burke. Well, it would behoove them to have something based on that franchise. In a not too dissimilar fashion that Super Mario Brothers debuted with Super Nintendo World back in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think that'd be great and all if they all of a sudden decide, well, they better go back and put Black Astrid in everything they're representing in the theme park then. So, because otherwise it doesn't work. They know what's real. They put what's real in the parks. I mean, and I think Comcast is kind of stuck on this one, but no wonder the FCC is taking a look at them.
That's a very good point. Well, hopefully you're encouraged by this news culture. Here we go. James Gunn's Superman footage soars at CinemaCon as Crypto the Dog steals the show. This by Brett Lang over at Variety.
That's what you want. You want Crypto to overshadow Superman. That's what you want.
Oh boy. James Gunn, who was hired by Warner Bros. Discovery chief David Zaslav to reinvigorate DC's cinematic universe after a series of duds like The Flash, Justice League, took the stage at CinemaCon on Tuesday to share what he's been cooking up. And the project that he's most personally invested in, Superman, also saw him write the screenplay and direct the comic book adventure. This idea to offer audiences a brighter, more optimistic do-over after DC went down a darker, dour path with the Snyderverse. This is a movie that celebrates kindness and the human love.
Oh, Snow White.
And yeah, indeed. Yeah. Don't use kindness. Just stop using that word for just a little bit, because we're still having we're still not over what the kindness expert Rachel Zegler provided here. Now it's interesting because I saw this right here. Gunn said he was first offered Superman in 2018, but opted to make another DC film, The Suicide Squad, instead, believing its R-rated ragtag ethos was more aligned with what he'd done on Guardians of the Galaxy. But the idea of taking a character perceived as old-fashioned and making it resonate with a, quote, modern audience appealed to him. That was a quote, by the way. Eventually, Gunn had a eureka moment. He was able to devise, quote, a story that is both utterly human and utterly fantastic at the same time. Now, before you respond, Culture, before you freak out, apparently Chris Gore over there in Film Threat is saying, from the person that attended a screening of the film, that he is very optimistic about what he's hearing, what the story is, and all of that. Culture, I know modern audience. I get it. I know what you're saying. what are you thinking here?
A Superman movie with a smattering of diverse superheroes reeks of modern audience. So now reinforcing it with modern audience bologna sausage. I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a tough sell. While, Chris Gore also stated that the person that saw this was very specific about he's every bit a Superman. I gotta see it to believe it. This third party information is not going to sell this to me. They need people to be on this hype train. I won't get on this hype train. I'm going to give it its fair due. I've been accused of not liking anything, which is not true. But already we have a Superman that's powered by the sun that can't get a tan. We have Crypto going to steal the show. And that's exactly what I want in my Superman movie. Everything but Superman. Just obviously a ridiculous story plot. Cloning Superman. Yay. This is going to be a party.
Well, hopefully this is more encouraging to cinema goers.
Did you see? Look, there was the footage is gorgeous. You see the guy flying? It's like this fisheye lens that looks like his face is melting away.
Yeah, I did see that.
Okay, so I'm like, why. Yeah, that's gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful. Everything's gorgeous. Modern audience.
Well, hopefully this is more encouraging for cinema goers right here. I know you mentioned it before. IMAX with laser to add 80 AMC locations in the U.S. Apparently, the other part of
lasers. Okay, sorry.
Well, I just wanted to say that the other part of CinemaCon was that I guess we were getting we're getting confirmation from theater owners, maybe even the National Association of Theater Owners specifically, that they're investing more into theaters in order to bring back people. They're doing it in very interesting ways, apparently. But I think this stuff is good also to the windowing practices, right? Culture Crave here. AMC CEO Adam Aaron says 3 major studios have agreed that they need to bring back the 45-day theatrical window. It's a good start. Your final thoughts on all this, Culture?
Adam Aaron's going the right direction. A lot of PLF entries showing up soon. I think they've realized that they have to offer a better theater experience, which is what the studios are saying. But he also said something I think is more important beyond the 45-day window. It's the fact that they have to get consistent windowing. They have to. Yeah. The biggest problem right now for theaters is they don't have enough to show people for all the multiplexes that they've built. They struggle, especially in my area where you have 25 or 23 or whatever theaters, and they have so many showings of just this handful of films that it gives the impression of it being empty and less popular than it may be. Again, you have to recognize that when you're looking at some of these theatrical numbers and say, there's no hype here. There's no sense of community when you don't have, a community attending the theaters, and it's because of a lack of material, and it's because they leave the material in theaters for a handful of weeks and then they're off to streaming. So the studios are sabotaging themselves and their future. And I think that's one of the things that CinemaCon focused on this week, and the conversations around theaters. Anyway, so those are my thoughts. I think if anything was accomplished at CinemaCon, it was on the business side of things. It certainly wasn't on the content side of things.
Indeed.
So there's that.
Let me go ahead and bring in some more chats to the conversation right here. JR with $10. How to Train Your Dragon has one of the most healthy and mature romances in an animated movie. I really hope that the reimagining doesn't ruin that, despite the race, or in this case, gender. What is it? Yeah,
no, it's race. It's race.
Yep. You're right. Though my hopes aren't high. Yeah, indeed.
No, indeed.
If they preserve the romance, I think you're in pretty good shape. But again, it's a reimagining for modern audiences. Who knows what they'll do? William Thompson with the $10. Hey, Country Bear. Don't have Jonas J. Campbell show up just because you legit criticizing of the lousy live action version of How to Train Your Dragon, because it's been a great show so far. Looks like William Thompson agrees with you, Culture. You know,
William Thompson is correct on almost things, almost everything. Yeah, and he's got a great jumping truck. I don't know how he does that. You know, and then it gets a sudden boost all of a sudden. I'm like, this is like Knight Rider truck. It's very cool.
A great jumping truck indeed. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the like button. Please, will go ahead and help us out tremendously on your way out right there. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button. If you really like us, go ahead and share us out. And thank you so much for joining us here on That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.